Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show you how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Samara, who was working as an office manager and not very happy or excited about that path. She took my course, got digital marketing skills, hustled very, very hard, and got an entry-level job making about $50,000 a year in digital marketing. While she was working at that job, within a very short period of time, she got a new job, which she's at right now, making $76,000 a year. She's very excited by the pay jump, and she really loves what she does. So I'm very excited to share her story with you. Thanks for being here, Samara.
Hey Seth, nice to see you again.
You too. You too. I'm so happy for you, and it's great to see you again as well. So why don't you tell people a little about your current job that you're working right now?
So I'm currently a digital media buyer for paid social and search, and I work for an agency in the DMV area, and I work mostly with nonprofit clients, and so I manage their ad spend in Google Ads and Facebook ads right now.
That's fantastic. And DMV, what is that? Where is that?
DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Ah,
Yes.
yeah, like demilitarized zone. I didn't know DMV or the Department of Motor Vehicles. Uh,
Right.
right, right. So you live in Maryland, and this is not a fully remote job, but I think you remember you telling me it's partially remote.
Yes, it's hybrid, so I go into the office 2 times out of the week.
That's great. And do you like hybrid? Do you like kind of the mix of going into the office and working from home as well?
Yeah, I really love it right now just because I'm still new to the digital marketing space. So it's kind of nice to be able to like ask my coworkers questions that are like right there in front of me instead of like having to ping them online all the time. So I actually don't mind it right now. Yeah, it's nice.
That's great. Yeah, I find that a lot of people like the combination because sometimes remote has the flexibility, but can get a little bit too, maybe a little bit isolated. And then, of course, working in the office all the time can, if you have a commute, can be a bit much. So this sounds great. So why don't we take people back through your journey? You're still, as you said, you're relatively new to digital marketing. This is a very, fast pay jump to, $76,000. But what was going on in your life back before you were into digital marketing? People can watch our previous interview, but I just kind of want to recap it. Like, yeah, what was going on when you found my course and why did you decide to take it and what happened?
Yeah, I'll kind of go back a little bit further. I graduated college and I got a theater degree. And I ended up working just like a bunch of little part-time jobs until I started working in office management. One with like an arts nonprofit, and then another with like a real estate company, just very random. And I knew that that's not really the path that I wanted to take. I wanted to kind of find a career that had flexibility, that had just different options for the industries I could work in and things like that. So I did a lot of online research about, different types of career paths I could take. And then I found your course through a Shane Hummus video, like many other people. Um, and I ended up watching your webinar. And after that, I was kind of like sold, and I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. So I ended up taking the course. It took me about 2 months to finish. After that, I just kind of focused on generating my experience. So I worked with like family and friends who had like businesses trying to run Facebook ads for them. And then I ended up working with a nonprofit helping them run their Google Ads grant. And I worked with them for about 5 to 6 months. And then I just kind of got busy like applying for jobs. And after that, I ended up working for a an agency that mostly works with political clients. And I was working with them for about 8 months, and then was like, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna try to find something else. Partially because of money, but also just because I felt like I could learn more somewhere else. They gave me a really great foundation in Google Ads and Facebook and programmatic advertising. But I really wanted to like expand on what I was learning and optimization strategies and whatnot. And so I came across my current job, and I applied for them back in January. And I didn't hear anything from them for a couple of months. And then one of their recruiters from HR reached out to me in April, and she was like, "Hey, this position came open again. We know you applied a couple months ago. Would you be interested in applying it or interviewing again or interviewing with us?" And I was just like, "Yes, like, of course." So I ended up going through 2 rounds of interviews and assessment, and then I got the position. So yeah,
That's so
long-winded, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit. So yeah, first of all, I think I mentioned you in a walkthrough video I did, which is just really great advice about just apply. You don't know what's going to happen. You applied in January, you didn't hear anything till April. That happens. You know, a company sees your resume, but maybe there's not an opening or maybe they filled it already. You never know, which is why I just tell people always be applying. And you took the initiative 8 months into your career. I think you were, what did you say you're making, like 50K when you started that first job?
Yep, I was making 50K.
Yeah, which is great for, again, entry level. And what do I say, guys? 60K within a year. So you made, really more than that, 76K. Um, so, but first of all, and so I want to get into the advancement, but just going from having no experience in digital marketing, what was it like working at that first job for 8 months? Did you feel confident? Did you feel like overwhelmed? Was it easy to did you get more confident as you went along?
Yeah, because it was entry level, my manager and the team that I was working with, they were extremely helpful, and they were just like willing to let me take my time in learning. And we were also dealing with the the election because I was working in politics. So that also helped me to really like pick up the skills that I was learning in ad trafficking and whatnot. So yeah, I began to feel more comfortable after a couple of months working there.
Yeah. And then you get that confidence. So I tell you guys, like, get that entry level position, even if it doesn't pay, it's not supposed to pay, huge money. It's there for your experience. So yeah, at what point did you make the decision that, I want to level up to the next job? And then, were recruiters ever reaching out to you? Did you do a lot of applying? How did that go?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to start applying within the new year. I was like, I feel like I have enough experience that I can, find something else. So I brushed up on my resume. And I didn't have many recruiters reaching out to me, but I was very locked in and I like was looking at jobs every day. But I was also being more intentional about where I wanted to work and apply. So I didn't send out as many applications as I did the first time around. And I ended up interviewing with about 6 different companies. And some of them I made it to the first, some of them I made it to the second round. But ultimately the job that I got was the one that I was able to really see it through. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And it's great you're being intentional too. And I always, tell people when they're applying, I mean, when you're first trying to get that first job, it makes sense to send out you got to send out a lot of resumes, but you always want to be intentional, even if you're sending out 100 resumes. In your case, and I think this is why it works so well to level up, is that you already have a job, you're comfortable, and then it's time to be a little bit more selective. Um, and so what was the interview process like with this company? That's a pretty big pay bump. Most people in most fields like maybe can hope for a 10% raise, maybe an 8% raise, which of 50,000 would be, $5,000. But you got, I mean, what is that? 20, I don't know the math exactly, but that was a huge raise. How did that interview go? And, how did they feel about your experience and jumping up to that pay?
yeah, so the first group of people I met with were the people that were on my team and the person that's now my immediate manager. And they honestly didn't even mention the fact that I only had about 8 months to a year, or no, I would actually say about a year of experience. So they didn't even mention it, and they just wanted to kind of understand my background, my experience working in the political space. I did fundraising and lead gen types of campaigns, so they just wanted to know if that was, similar to what they were going to have me do as well. And yeah, they didn't really ask me too many difficult questions. It was just them trying to get to know me. The second interview that I had was with the director of the department. And again, he just wanted to understand my background. He asked me, what are my thoughts on like the current digital marketing space? And I started talking about AI and my thoughts about AI, and that was really cool. And we kind of went back and forth about that. Um, and yeah, and then after that, he ended up sending me an assessment. And the assessment was a little lengthy, but it wasn't difficult. It was a lot of questions about how do you find CPA? How do you find ROAS? Depending on what data is in the chart, which is very similar to an assessment that you have in your course. Um, and it was also just questions like, how would you deal with a situation where there wasn't any spend in a campaign? And so I kind of went through the checklist of, I would look at an account, I would try to see if I set it up correctly, and kind of just kind of went through the checklist. And yeah, it was very straightforward. And it was a really like pleasant experience. And like you said, I felt more confident going into this just because I had been interviewing so much that at a certain point I was like, I'm okay. Like I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask you something about what you said, but interviewing, I just tell guys like you got to just get in shape. It's like going to the gym. Even if you
Mhm.
didn't get an interview, if you guys are in the course, do an interview with your friend. Like seriously, it just even if your friend asks you a question like tell me about yourself, you will find yourself getting nervous and then you deal with it. You have to, it's like auditioning, and you have a drama background. So, it's just like once you get into that zone of interviewing, your vibe, you know, it's I do when I do these YouTube videos, we shoot them in the early in the morning, and I'm sometimes like, wow, I'm like kind of tired. But then I get into I've just done it so many times. And the more you interview, the more you get used to answering these questions, the better you get. Some people get it, in the third interview. Sometimes it takes 10 interviews. Um, but in this case, what I'm curious about is, oh yeah, what did the job posting say that you applied to? Or the position? Did it say you need, 8 months experience, 1 year experience, 3 years experience? Do you remember that?
Yeah, so they had on the job posting that it was required 4+ years of experience. And
Boom.
yeah. And I just applied anyway because I was like, let's just do it. Why not? But yeah, it was very, very cool.
That's guys, listen to this if you're in the course. I know it's so easy today. There's like a lot of negativity out there, and people, I think it's hard to remember that this is still true. Look at all my testimonials going back 9 years. It has always been this way. It is still this way. 4+ years experience required. And she comes in with 8 months experience. Okay. So so when I'm going over those entry level jobs, what you say, okay, I don't even have the 8 months agency experience. I only have my own experience from the course. Fine. When it says 2 years, 3 years experience, it's the same equation. And they didn't even ask her like, do you have like
Mhm.
4 years of experience and how
No,
much?
they didn't ask.
Yeah. So it comes again when you generate your own experience or you gain that confidence. These companies still need people. You got hired in April. And I think if you're the course, you got to just watch these videos again and again and get the fact that yes, companies are hiring. Don't listen to the news. It's designed to make you scared and unhappy. And yes, the economy is technically slower, but it's funny because I was talking with somebody about this and it was saying, the numbers are solid. I mean, it's true. Hiring is, slowed a bit, but there's so much negative thinking people have. It's actually distorting the fact that the unemployment rate is pretty low and these companies are still hiring. And then the next thing, of course, is AI, which is, I know a lot of people are concerned about, but as I'm saying, it's not like AI is just wiping out these jobs. Have you seen now working for about, almost 2 years in the field, making really good money? What are
Mhm.
your thoughts on AI and how is it affecting your job?
Honestly, it hasn't affected my job negatively. We use different tools to help with our like creating ad copy. Like I use ChatGPT just to help me and get more ideas flowing. Yeah, it hasn't really been a hindrance. I don't know how things are going to change in the future, but I don't see that companies are pulling out of working with agencies or anything like that, because the AI is so great. So, but yeah, I haven't had any issues.
Yeah. Companies are not spending. If anything, if people start spending less money, then ad spends, well, they will stay the same or may even go up in some cases because you got to kind of, inspire people to spend more money. But that's the issue. The AI is, as you said, it's a tool. And
Hmm.
I haven't had the time. I need to do another video about this, guys. AI is a tool. It is there to assist you. ChatGPT is amazing for coming up with, as I said, ad copy and ideas and helping you do tedious tasks. Even that spreadsheet that you said, I was actually going to ask you about that. The assessment you did to get hired for this job. Did you do it manually or did you just feed it into ChatGPT to do the spreadsheet or whatever they gave you?
Oh no, I did it manually. I did check my answers, just to make sure that I was like doing it right or I had the proper answer. But yeah, it was manual.
Yeah. And that's really important too, guys. I know as someone who's used AI a lot, I'm telling you, it's a new technology and it's like it has nobody's studied yet the impact it has on your brain and your psychology. And one thing that I noticed myself when I used it too much is I stopped thinking. You stop thinking and it's so good at generating answers and consolidating data that you believe it sometimes. And then you still have to use your critical brain because I've asked it questions and it gives me an answer sometimes and I'm like, this is not right. And then I'll be like, what do you mean this way? And I'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I was completely wrong. And as I keep saying again and again, when it comes to digital marketing, that's why we need people like Samara to manage these accounts. You cannot just rely on this AI tool to manage everything. It makes mistakes, it needs prompting, and nobody's just going to hand over $200,000 a month or whatever to a machine.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of which, about how much ad spend are you managing?
Honestly, I don't even know right now. I just started like 2 weeks ago, so maybe around 50K right now. But at my last job, I was managing well over 1 million. Just because political clients, they have a lot of money to throw at you. So
Wow. What,
yeah,
a million a year or a million a month?
1 million a month, a month.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is huge. Well, that is a very unique experience you had.
No.
I don't like to get into politics on this channel, but I'm really curious about it because, yeah, obviously there's a ton of money being spent in that space, and
Hmm.
that's it's obviously very amazing for your resume as well. But even now you're working with nonprofits, and I mean, how do you find the job? Do you find it fulfilling? Do you find it interesting?
Yeah, I like it because I'm working with nonprofits that work in different industries. So I find that interesting. I just got to do some ad copy, for my manager yesterday, and I was like, oh, I missed this. This is really fun. So yeah, it's just been really nice so far.
That's great. And what's it like for you personally, just like, having this kind of success coming from, being in a career, the office manager you didn't really like and weren't getting paid that much. Now doing something you enjoy, making this much money. And, how has it affected you personally? What do your family or friends think?
I'm honestly so much more confident in myself and just like my future in general. Just because when I graduated college, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I knew that doing theater and acting was very tricky. Being in the arts, it's kind of a difficult industry to really get into. So now doing digital marketing, PPC, I just feel like I know so much and I can go so far. And especially with the pay increase and knowing that, okay, the next position, years down the line, I can, go even higher. Just makes me feel really confident. And I can actually move out soon. So that's another big plus. My family supports me 100% with anything I do. So it's been really, really great.
That's awesome. And I love your optimism because it's true. And I think it's smart. I know a lot of, younger people. I lived at home when I was in my 20s, and I think it's really a great way to save money, honestly. I mean, you must be saving a lot. But now I'm happy to hear that you can actually move out and not,
Yes.
be working like minimum wage like a lot of college graduates. Um, and yeah, like you said, it's the future. I mean, the way to be, secure your future is to get skills that companies need, and these skills will remain in demand. And then as you continue to use AI and get better using AI, that's how you future-proof yourself. You don't I think it's really funny when I see articles talking about AI. Again, the news is not a place to go for inspiration or even information, I think. It's so
A lot
the
of fear mongering.
fear
Yeah.
mongering. It's true. And I worked in the news years ago, and I said that's the goal. If they can get you afraid, then they can get you to click and then get you to read. And unfortunately, that's kind of parallel. It's in tandem with our industry of advertising. But it's so easy to get people to look at things that scare them versus something that's actually in depth or informational. But one of the things I say when people talk about AI and they're kind of like freaking out, I say, well, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna just like hide under your bed and not do anything? You have to learn how to use this technology. Use it, embrace it, get better at it, and it's gonna help you, And again, it's for I think for really low skilled jobs, if you have a really, really unnecessary job, then AI could potentially replace you. But even for lower level jobs, I mean, again, the AI is amazing, but it needs guidance. It
Yeah.
needs somebody to be controlling it. So I think on every front, I mean, you got the experience, you're managing accounts, you're using AI, and you know, you're only in your second job. So that's very exciting. So yeah, I'm happy for you, and thank you for sharing yourself with everybody here. Is it okay if people reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yes, you can. No problem.
Great. I'm going to put her link in the description below the video. Um, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up, to me or anybody else watching the video?
To you, thank you again. I've thanked you many times, but this course is a life changer. I'm just extremely happy that I came across your video on Jane Hummus's YouTube channel. And to anybody interested in the course, I just say be intentional about your life and about what you want, and you can make things happen. You never know what is possible until you actually do it. So good luck.
Awesome. Very well said. Very good advice. Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Samara. It was great to see you again. I imagine we'll do another one of these in a year or two, and you'll be even further along. But I'm happy for you. Enjoy your new job, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.